the weekend, the conversation around Christian Pulisic not being involved in this camp came up yet again. He's faced a lot of criticism from a lot of different individuals, including Landon Donovan. And this must have really angered Christian Pulisic's dad, Mark Pulisic. So let's take a look at what Landon Donovan had to say. He says, "This is what it means to represent your country. If you don't want to take it seriously as a professional soccer player and someone who gets the opportunity to wear the jersey, then don't come in. I can't help but think about our guys on vacation not wanting to play in the Gold Cup. It's pissing me off." All right, so here's what Christian's dad, Mark, had to respond. So it looks like he put a prompt in ChatGPT or something asking about Landon Donovan's sabbatical and why he took it. And it cites things like physical and mental exhaustion after years of intense competition and pressure, yada, yada. And then in the caption, Christian's dad said, "This guy is ... talking about commitment. Look in the mirror and grow a pair and call names out, or are you afraid next time you want an interview that you will get rejected again?" Christian, it appears to have liked that post. And yeah, this came out just this morning. So Nico, I want to get your thoughts on, number one, the decision of Christian Pulisic's dad to put that out there on social media, and just kind of what it says about, number one, this controversy that's going on, and maybe kind of what the fallout might be going forward now.
I mean, Mark Pulisic is just adding a little bit more fuel to the fire, right? Because this is a very divisive issue against fans in the media. Some of us, like me, think that he shouldn't have taken this summer off because a lot of players around the world are banged up. Cristiano Ronaldo yesterday at 40 years old said, "I would give a leg to Portugal if I had to," and he ends up winning a trophy. It's not the end of the world. There's a World Cup on the other side of the year. Ironically, Landon Donovan on Fox's coverage yesterday of the Nations League decided to say what he felt about Christian Pulisic taking time off after seeing what Bruno Fernandes said, what it meant to play for the national team, what Cristiano Ronaldo said, having played for the national team. So, yes, it's ironic because of that sabbatical, but in the end, if you look at it, the sabbatical ended up hurting Landon Donovan on the other side of it. He didn't go to the 2014 World Cup. Landon Donovan missed World Cup qualifying with Jurgen in 2012 and 2013, and ultimately almost probably wasn't fit to make the 2014 World Cup. So the sabbatical for Landon, which I would love to go back and see what the media was saying about it in 2012, which probably had some controversial takes to it, ended up working against him.
Do you think that it's a legitimate fear at this point that that same thing could happen to a player like Christian Pulisic, or is this a very different situation now? How do you see it, Nige, Kupo?
I think it's the fear of the unknown, right? You don't know how this can go going forward. It can go favorably because I think it's a really hazardous territory to wander into, to say just because Ronaldo has this gold standard mental and physical health, that he's capable of weathering this, that every other player should and could be able to do that. That's just not realistic, right? You have a capacity as an individual still. Yes, you're an elite pro athlete. Yes, you can say you have expectations and responsibilities to your club, to your country. I think that when you step aside, we can go tit for tat here, dad for dad, in terms of social posts. But at the end of the day, it's going to be ultimately what you feel is the best thing for you as a player in that moment. And yes, sometimes you could end up handicapping yourself, and it could come out where you look worse on the other side, or you get some rest that you feel you need and you come out for the better.
Nige, what do you think?
I'm just still trying to catch up in this soap opera drama. No, for me,
I mean, what do you think about his dad going and posting that? You don't like that?
Don't agree to that. Dad should stay out of it. Pulisic is a big boy. Captain America, he should be able to handle that situation himself.
And do the talking on the pitch. Come out from this leave of absence with more fire, right?
100%. And it's like when you say you pick and choose your battles. I don't agree with the dad getting involved with that. Landon Donovan's fine to have his opinion. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. The reality of it is when you dream to play football, you always want to, if you want to be the best, you compare yourself to the best. So if Landon Donovan came in and said, listen, our US men's team, right about now, you have to question some of their decisions that they're making. When you look at Ronaldo, what he's doing at his age and what he's saying, and you look at Bruno Fernandes and what he's doing, fine. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. I thought that Donovan made it a bit personal, where I think he's gone beyond just actually pointing the obvious of saying we want to see better commitment. And Pulisic has the right to defend himself, but he has to defend himself and not his dad stepping in to defend himself.
There's a thing culturally here in the United States that I hope one day
it has to change.
We switch. I think we have a responsibility from the media to put this pressure on the national team and what it means to play for the national team, because it feels like we're one of the few countries, if we think we can be at that level where we consider ourselves elite amongst the powerhouses of world football, that the national team isn't a choice, that it's a privilege to be here.
That's exactly it. And I think for me, it's always comparing yourself to other nations. If you think that you are that good as a nation, have what comes with that, the pressure of it, because some of these other nations, you can't do that and get away with it. You will not be picked again for the national team if you turn that down to say, I'm not turning up for this tournament. You're not going to be picked again because the fans will put the pressure on it, the media that cover it will put the pressure on it, and that's the expectation. This is what comes with being a professional football player. You have to deal with it. There's been many times in my career where I've had lies told about me, certain things. You pick and choose your battle, you deal with it. You don't agree with it, but you have to keep moving forward, and the momentum has to keep being in a positive light.
Like, these are the only meaningful games, the friendly against Switzerland, the Gold Cup, that the U.S. is going to have before the World Cup. Imagine the pressure. Like, sure, it'll put pressure on, I mean, not only Christian, but the rest of this generation that some of them decided to not play or couldn't play to perform at the World Cup. There's one shot here, and the team, it feels like, isn't taking steps forward, not even from a tactical perspective, just from a mental perspective. The personality that we want to see on the pitch, we're not getting that.
That's what I would finish on. We've had this conversation where everyone said, this generation is so much more better, they're so much more better technically than past generations. Having the ability is only a small part of being a football player, to play at the highest level. The other stuff that comes with it, the desire, the grit, the determination, that is what this generation is lacking. And that is why the older generation would always still be probably looked at in a higher regard. Yes, this generation are playing for big clubs in Europe, you know, they're playing in Champions League and stuff. But when it comes to the national team, they're not doing anything of what the older generation have gone before that, where they've got a lot more grit and desire.
The
and
accountability within the culture of the setup of the national team. I was thinking about this yesterday, like sleeping on it and thinking what I was going to say about where we are at culturally as a national team. I go back maybe like 8 years ago to the Chilean national team. Chile hadn't really achieved anything within the CONMEBOL setup, and they got a good group of guys that they were calling the golden generation. They had a couple of world-class players like Vidal, like Alexis Sanchez. They killed for the national team. I saw it firsthand at the Copa America in Chile first, and then at the Copa America here in the United States. The commitment, the accountability, the trust that they had in every single one. They would want to play every single minute that they could for that national team. And that golden generation has come and gone. And I don't know when we're going to see something like that again. But it wasn't a particularly shiny nation from a footballing perspective. Yes, Chile has a lot of football culture. I don't want to disrespect anyone from Chile. I have a lot of Chilean friends, but I see how but they hadn't achieved anything except, you know, maybe hosting a World Cup. But I translate that to the United States, and I'm not seeing that with this generation.
We're all in agreement, though, and we haven't been seeing it. This isn't just like a new commentary that's been coming out in the USMNT.
Light.
This has been a conversation for a while now. What I want to bring it back to is what Christian Pulisic's dad had to say, basically calling, you know, like saying it's kind of like ironic that you of all people are the one calling out Christian Pulisic, but would you can you compare the two? Because that's essentially what his dad was trying to do.
You can. I think his dad, I understood what his dad was doing, but my problem is, again, it should be Pulisic that does it, because everyone knows that Landon Donovan did the same thing, but it shouldn't be Christian Pulisic's dad doing it for him. He should do it for himself. This is what comes with it. You've got to stand up at some point and show a bit of character. I understand your son's going, but he's a professional football player. He has to deal with it. He gets abuse at ground and stuff. He's used to this. This is what comes with it. And I think for me, that is the most disappointing thing, because again, this is a moment to show us a bit of character, show us a bit of something about yourself. This is what you can't just have the glitz and glam of the footballer lifestyle and not be able to deal with the dark side of football, because that is what comes hand in hand. Fans will love you one day and hate you the next.